Hey everyone, Georgie here with Ukraine Matters. I have a lot of topics that I want to talk about with you. Unfortunately, I don't have the time, so today we're just focusing on the map. And I know you have a lot of questions about other things, but hopefully I will be able to cover them on Sunday. But believe me, the list is quite long. But I have really good news for you at all because we see changes that are happening and changes are good. First major changes that just kind of came in just recently is on the direction on Kherson. This area over here, the general that is responsible for this direction has been removed, and supposedly some other general will be put in his place. Why this is significant? Because it was General Tolinski. General Toplinsky, he is rumored to be one of the most efficient and qualified generals in the Russian military. The problem for the Russian military is that General Toplinsky is also very unique compared to the other parts of the Russian military. He's actually competent, and he is often in conflict with a lot of other generals because the way how he sees things. So the rumors are that because of the strike that happened just a little bit recently in the area of, I'm going to put it here, Hladkivka, which is right over here, then the rumors were that because of General Teplinsky plan, he was trying to kind of manipulate Ukrainian attention to make sure he can take out the Ukrainian bridgehead in this area, and it backfired horribly. And just recently there videos appeared with this Ukrainians intercepting this column of the troops that General Teplinsky supposedly himself appointed to go that way. And apparently there are certain generals that were eyeballing him already, and now he is removed. So this is extremely good news because Ukrainians do recognize his knowledge and ability to plan. Compared to a lot of other Russian generals, this was very unwelcome when he was put in charge of this area. This is good because most of the generals are kind of poor, so this gives additional options for Ukrainians. Mostly because we now hear that the Ukrainians in the area of Kazachy Lahiri, I'm telling it every time, but it's true every time, they are not being forced out. Russians are already the only thing that is saving Russians in this area, that is preventing Ukrainians to go further, is that they don't have enough anti-air protection, and Russians are just able to drop bombs and direct artillery in this area, so they cannot really concentrate forces. But even without forces concentration, they're still able slowly, with those small groups that Ukrainians are having in this area, to expand the area of control, which is great news. So bridgehead is not going anywhere. Ukrainians are writing history on how to take the shores from the enemy control. And more importantly, if we're talking about anti-air, one of the big things that happened is that a Russian bomber got shot down right over the Black Sea, presumably from a missile from the area of Odessa. And this corresponded very nicely with the deliveries of another Patriot system. So the rumors are, again, we don't have any documented proofs of that, but more of a certain rumors are that the newly arrived Patriot system from Germany has been deployed to Odessa right away, and it was able to catch certain bombers that are flying, specifically those bombs that are bombing both the left bank around Kherson, and also the same planes are flying to bomb Odessa and other kind of targets in the region. And this is great because not only Russian Navy is now being pushed out of the Black Sea, but hopefully now with Patriot, additional Patriot missile system arriving, also the Russian aviation will not feel safe enough to fly into the control area of Ukraine. The more defense Ukraine has, the more pushback they can do against Russian air targets. This is great news. Another interesting news happened around Avdiivka. And here Ukrainians were able to counterattack around the south, but then it was said that Russians counterattacked. So While on this map, this area around Stepove that I talked to you about last time, and Deep State has colored these areas around Stepove that Russia is kind of taking from the north and from the south, while it is colored red, all of my reports that I'm getting, they're stating, no, it's not red. It's not fully controlled by Russians. Russians are not fully set in these areas. It's still controlled, which basically explains and brings us to a very important point. Russians have been attacking Avdiivka since October 10th. It's now been quite a while. We're edging closer to the middle of December now. They have achieved nothing. They have not captured any major point that they needed to capture. The amount of losses that they've mounted is incredible, and they are yet to even scratch the surface of the Ukrainian fortifications in the area. It's not coming without a cost. Ukrainians are paying great price. It's not easy fighting. We know that. It's hell on earth for people that are defending Stepove and fighting in these directions. But the point on the global still stands that Ukraine is not crumbling, Avdiivka is holding, Avdiivka is fine. Moreover, a project, I'm going to switch to this map over here. This is a map by a project called GeoConfirmed, where they were studying the videos, specifically of drone strikes and so on, and they were geolocating where specifically those activities were happening. And one of the major things that this map specifically caught the attention of certain analysts is that they noted that the arrows, and what they did basically here is that the bigger the arrow, the more reports from that area are happening. And so the analysts noted, oh, interesting. So that means that Russia is shifting tactics and have been shifting tactics, that since they cannot fully encircle and they're just being pushed back every time they cross the railway line, try to approach Stepove at the north, they're getting pushed back. Every time they try to go south towards the chemical plant, they're being pushed back with losses. There was also only one thing that was favorable for Russians, and it was at the south. At the south, they were able to capture this industrial area. The problem with that is, as you can see the map, is that that arrow goes dead center into the center of Avdiivka. That means if Russians would to advance by that logic, they would have the hardest battles, the most bloodiest battles, the absolute enormity to go through like head on through the most fortified place on the probably Ukrainian front line, and they want to take it head on. And if we can judge by these arrows, then the Russian generals that are amazing in their planning with just, okay, arrows on the side didn't work, let's put a big arrow in the front and let's see what's gonna happen. Oh, we put a big arrow on the front, troops went in, they were able to capture something, yes, double down on that now. And they started pouring resources into this area like crazy. And I'm going to tell you a little bit of a fresh news that I got is that even this industrial area that Russians supposedly captured is just a big old graveyard for Russians. They are not really holding there anything. They're just being pummeled nonstop. But Russian generals just keep sending them, and they are still trying and trying. And you see, even the geoconfirmed data is showing that Russians are indeed trying to take Avdiivka head on, which is ludicrously funny. Well, I mean, like, nothing about this is funny. It's just I cannot believe how stupid Russia is, how absolutely devastating and to everyone in a civilized world to be threatened by a country that is this bad, that is this incompetent. It's beyond me. And the only way that they're able to do this is because they have the emotional population. They don't care about each other, so they're able to send a lot of manpower, and they have huge stocks of ammunition that is left from the Soviet Union. And Ukraine now needs to fight not the Russian production, not what Russia has, but what the major superpower of the world during the time was producing. It's beyond me how our, like, and this is where I should be going into some other topics, talking about Western powers and how absolutely laughable it is that the Western powers are struggling against such a nonsensical, cartoonish villain. But I don't have time for this. Thank you so much for watching this episode. I hope to see you Sunday. Slava Ukraini. I love you all, guys, and I'll see you next time.